In this video, guys, we're going to talk about the Ark of the Covenant and the Chariot of the Cherubim. Now, what we're going to do, guys, is show you, I'm going to go through the verses, we're going to show you the Ark of the Covenant, we're going to show you the first temple, which we call the House of David, and how in the Holy of Holies there were cherubim that Solomon was instructed by David to make according to a pattern called the Chariot of the Cherubim. This expression we find in 1 Chronicles 28. And what it is the Ark of the Covenant had 2 cherubim on it. And then when it came into the temple, 2 additional cherubim were built. And this is the completion of the pattern of his throne. So we know his throne has a orientation of 4 cherubim that we see in Ezekiel chapter 1. We're going to look at that in a second. So what we have, guys, is the Ark of the Covenant has 2 cherubim on it. Okay? And the reason this is important, this is very, very important that you understand what we're talking about. There's a particular order and structure throughout all of God's measurements. We were told to measure the temple. And these measurements give us the order of things. Now, we're going to go through Ron Wyatt's claim in his description of the Ark of the Covenant, which is revolutionary. It's revolutionary, and people are not picking up on this revolutionary fact, okay? But what we're going to do here, we're going to go through the verses, we're going to go through the description of the Ark of the Covenant, we're going to go through the description of the Chariot of the Cherubim in the Scriptures, and as well look at the Crucifixion Site in the Garden Tomb. Okay, let's go to Exodus 25, verse 10. And they shall make an ark of shittim wood 2.5 cubits length, and 1.5 cubits its breadth. All right, so these are the measurements of the Ark of the Covenant. And then in verse 18, and you shall make 2 cherubim of gold, of beaten gold, shall you make them in 2 ends of the mercy seat. Okay? Make 1 cherubim on one end, and the other cherub on the other end, even of the mercy seat. And you shall make the cherubim on the ends thereof. Now, if you're familiar with this picture, this is the picture that Ron Wyatt drew of the Ark of the Covenant. And it says very clearly here that you make the cherubim on the ends of the mercy seat. So the mercy seat is separate, so you make a box. The box is overlaid with gold, and then the mercy seat is this other piece, but it says clearly that the cherubim go on the ends. And almost every single Ark of the Covenant picture and description, you will see cherubim on the box. But that's not what it says. Now, notice the measurement. The length thereof was 2.5 cubits. Its breadth was 1.5 cubits, or its height is 1.5 cubits. This is very important because these give us the proportions of the cherubim themselves. And we find that when we go to look at this, once we have the chariot of the cherubim. But let's continue reading here and look at more of the description of the cherubim in Exodus 25. The cherubim shall stretch forth their wings on high. Okay, I'll kind of leave this here so you could see. Stretch forth their wings on high, covering the mercy seat with their wings, and their faces shall look one to another towards the mercy seat. And you can see that's being depicted here. And you shall put the mercy seat above the ark, and the ark shall put the testimony that I shall give you. And I will meet with you there, and I will commune with you there above the mercy seat from between the 2 cherubim. Because remember, this is a throne. What we're looking at here is a throne. All right, so now this is our description here in Exodus 25. Let's go to Exodus 37 and look at that. In Exodus 37, verse 7, and he made 2 cherubims of beaten gold, beaten out of one piece. He made them on the 2 ends of the mercy seat. 1 cherub at one side, on the end on this side, another cherub on the other end on that side. out of the mercy seat made him the cherubims on the two ends thereof. And the cherubim spread forth their wings on high, and covered their wings over the mercy seat, and their faces one to another, even to the mercy seatward were the faces of the cherubim. Okay, now the reason we're going through all this, okay, so you see that description there of the Ark of the Covenant. Now let's talk about something called the Chariot of the Cherubim. So what happened is the mobile tabernacle of Moses that was moving had two cherubim like this. Remember, it's a throne. Okay, once it came into the temple, first temple, then we have a different structure. And this is what I'm attempting to draw. Bear with my drawings. I don't really like to draw this, guys. These are holy matters. But the only way to explain this is by showing you this visually, okay? So herein is our visual, but let's continue into the first temple. Let's go to let's go to 2 Chronicles. Now, here in 2 Chronicles chapter 3, verse 10, we have the instruction of the two cherubim. In the most holy place, he made two cherubim of image work, overlaid them with the gold. And the wings of the cherubim were 20 cubits long. Okay, we're going to talk about these measurements, guys. One wing of one cherub was 5 cubits, reaching to the wall of the house. The other wing was likewise 5 cubits, reaching to the wing of the other cherub. Remember, on the Ark of the Covenant, the two wings were touching. Well, we have the same thing happening here. And one wing of the other cherub was 5 cubits, reaching the wall of the house, and the other wing was 5 cubits, joining to the wing of each cherub. Okay? The wings of these cherubs spread forth themselves 20 cubits, and they stood on their feet. Okay? Again, and their faces were inward. Okay, so they're standing on their feet, their faces are inward, and they're obviously the artisan, the way this is being drawn is not going to be different from what they're seeing when they're looking at the Ark of the Covenant. So they have two angels which are standing, okay? And so the Ark of the Covenant has two angels standing, not on the box, they're standing. Their wings are touching one another. All right, so what's going to happen is when the temple is being built, they're obviously going to follow a pattern. So this pattern we can find when we see this thing called the Chariot of the Cherubim. Okay, and this is what we're talking about here. Now, it says that the length of their wings, of all 4 wings, is 20 cubits. So that's this measurement here. So the Holy of Holies in the temple is 20 cubits by 20 cubits. Okay. Then it says their wings are, each individual wing is 5 cubits, and they touch. Okay. So you have one wing that's touching the wall, another wing that's touching the point of the other cherubim. Okay. I just kind of zoom in on this a little bit. Let me kind of zoom in on this, guys. Okay, so hopefully you can see that here. We have our length of 20 cubits. Then each wing is 5 cubits, and their height is 10 cubits. Now, the reason this is important, and I'm going through all this to describe this to you, is because we have a perfect relationship and proportion between the cherubim in the first temple with those of the Ark of the Covenant. They are exactly 4 times larger, because if we take these measurements and then we look at what's described in Exodus, we can see that, for example, the wing is 5 cubits. Well, the wing on one of the wings of the cherubim on the Ark of the Covenant is 1.25 cubits. Why? Because it's half of the length. Though now you have a wing that's half of 2.5 cubits, which is 1.25. Okay, so 1 1/4 of a cubit, 1 1/4 times 4 is 5 cubits. All right, now the same thing goes for the height. Okay, remember the height is they're 10 cubits in height. Well, the height of the cherubim then are 2.5 cubits. So they're on the Ark of the Covenant, they're 2.5 cubits. 2.5 times 4 is 10. So guys, I'm hoping you can see this pattern and structure of the perfect order of these cherubim. It's so amazing. Where one wing is 5 cubits, okay, the wing on the Ark of the Covenant is 1.25. It's all a perfect order of 4 times larger. So guys, why would the Lord have a, disorder in the Holy of Holies? No. So that's why this depiction of the ark is right. You have cherubim standing. So now we're looking down at the cherubim. Here's a wing, okay, and these wings, one is touching the wall here, okay, 5 cubits, another is touching from the cherubim to the point, they point in the middle. All right, so that's why this chariot of the cherubim is accurate. It's right, okay. I will make this available to you if you want. You can do some more study on that. You can see we're calling it the chariot of the cherubim in all the verses, Exodus, 1 Chronicles, 2 Chronicles. But we want to move on and describe to you his throne. And I do have other videos on this, but on this one, I've shown you this many times, and this is his throne. And this is Ezekiel chapter 1. Ezekiel chapter 1 talks about 4 cherubim with 4 heads, lion, ox, man, eagle, and the wheels, all right? Wheels within the wheels at the corners. Well, the Ark of the Covenant has rings. It has rings on the corners that you would put the staffs through to carry the ark. So everything is, I hope what you can see here is everything is perfect order, guys, perfect order. And what's in the center? His throne. His seat is in the center. And the Ark of the Covenant, it's a mercy seat, okay? And there can't be someone sitting there. There can't be cherubim sitting on the mercy seat. That's the Lucifer wanted to sit on his seat, okay? So when you put cherubim on the Ark of the Covenant, on the mercy seat, you're following Lucifer. You're not following God's order, God's pattern, okay? So I have many other videos on this, okay? And you can see we have the same thing. We have the wheels within the wheels. You have the 4 cherubim, and their wings touch at the point in the center, okay? Same here. The wings touch. The wings touch. The wings touch above the Ark of the Covenant. All perfect order. Okay, one of the reasons we know Ron Wyatt's testimony is true regarding the things that he spoke about in the Garden Tomb area is what he described with the Ark of the Covenant. Now, what he described is a depiction of the Ark of the Covenant which is different than any other. And that is that there would be 2 cherubim standing, one with the wing covering his body, one with the wing pointing this way, and then on the other side, another cherubim standing and a wing pointed this way. So what this means is that the cherubim were standing upright, like this, upright, next to the Ark of the Covenant, okay, on either side. So that the mercy seat, if we picture this as the Ark of the Covenant, the mercy seat is a seat. It's a place where someone can sit, okay? So the cherubim would not be on top of the box, like every other depiction of the Ark of the Covenant has cherubim on the box. Well, what was the anointed cherub? He wanted to be on the seat. So you can't have cherubim on the seat. This is why Ron's testimony is true. So the cherubim are standing, okay, like this, and wings pointed. Standing, wings pointed, standing, wings pointed. Now, again, the reason this is true, we know that the cherubim are standing because when we come to the first temple, the house of David, what happens is the Ark of the Covenant has the cherubim, and then Solomon is instructed to have 2 more cherubim standing, and they are pointed with their wings, one wing above the Ark of the Covenant, the other wing is touching the wall. So they're standing like this, facing down at the Ark of the Covenant, here on this side and here on this side. okay? That may not all get in the video, but that is called the Chariot of the Cherubim. This can be seen in 1 Chronicles 28, where it describes the orientation of 4 cherubim. This is what we see in Ezekiel chapter 1. So when Ron White is showing us this orientation of the Ark of the Covenant with the cherubim standing and the wings pointed like this, their wings pointed like this, it is an accurate description. You would never have cherubim on the mercy seat, okay? It's a mercy seat, okay? And they would be standing. And again, once it comes into the temple, the orientation of 4, lion, ox, man, eagle, would be completed, okay? Let's go back to the garden site and I'll show you the crucifixion place. But before we do, we want to look at some photographs of some things to show you, and then we're on site. Hopefully it'll make sense as to the location and some of the things that we're talking about. Here are the placards written in what was it, Latin, Greek, and Hebrew, and we'll notice in these guys where we can find them. Let me show you. These are the plaques. If you go here, you'll see this ridge here. This is a deck. Oops, a deck here, and this is where we can see one of the plaques, another plaque here, another one here. And then what happened is this area has been built out by this deck, but lower is where Ron was doing his digging in the excavations. But here you can see where they were digging, but you can see this groove here and here, and Ron had you know, these plaques up. Let's look at them. Here you can see them, and you can see that groove there and that one plaque, but of course he's standing much lower than where this was before. But we can see these locations now very clearly in the garden tomb. Again here, again we can see that ridge, and when we go on site, this is where we'll be in this area showing you where these placards were. At the garden tomb, guys, I want to point out this location and show you these cutouts here. I'll show you some other photos, but Ron Wyatt testified that this was the location where they put the placards in the wall. So that there was one over here, approximately this area here. There was another one over here, okay, and another yet below the decking here of this room. And then there were cross slots that the crosses slotted into. So that this is the location, the Crucifixion Site. I'll show you some photos of what this area looked like, because essentially what we have is a lot has been built out to cover the excavation site that took place below us. But I have some photographs of ways I can show you that, and show you what we're looking at here. If you ever get a chance to come here to the garden tomb, what room, what chapel we're talking about. But essentially they've built out a lot of the structure. However, the decking could be removed, and there is an excavation that has taken place below us. Okay? But here we have the placards. Here lies Iesous Christos of Nazareth, King of the Jews. Remember, it said that in Greek, Latin, and Hebrew. And these were placards that went into the walls. Let's see, trying to think of what else. Let's just take a look at this area, guys. The decking, you can see here. All right, and then below, the other placard would have been down here. I'll kind of show you a graphic of that. Then the area we're talking about is you have Golgotha, the place of the skull, over there. and then the garden area here, and then this is the room that the crucifixion site was in. This is what it looks like. Okay, so again, these placards here are placed there, but then we can see below it the dig site, and we can have a photograph of Ron Wyatt when he showed these placards that this is the right site. Okay guys, over here is where we were. That's where the benches are and the wall, sorry for the shakiness here, of Crucifixion Site. And then if we follow that, we come to this area here, and this is called the Place of the Skull. There's a bus station, and we'll get a little view of it, but you can see right here the skull, eye, nose. Another view of it here. We'll get another shot of it. This is the Place of the Skull, called Golgotha, and that's where it is in relationship to the Crucifixion Site. And then we'll take a look at as well the some more here, guys. So just here we had the Crucifixion Site where the placards are. And then I want to show you what we do is we have this walkway and we come around. And as we come around, you know, there's many little chapel things in here. Basically, as we come through, and now we have the tomb. So the tomb is just here. Just wanted to show you the orientation of everything in its proximity. So we have the Crucifixion Site, we have the garden tomb right here. Okay, you have someone sitting in front, and that inside is the tomb. Now we have here a stone. You can see they found a stone that represented the time period of the stone that was in front of the tomb. So that would have been here covering the tomb. So this gives you a proximity of Golgotha, the Place of the Skull, the Crucifixion Site, and the tomb. All right, so here's the Place of the Skull. You can see right there. And isn't it ironic that he was born in a manger and Crucifixion Site is a bus station? So that's the Golgotha, Place of the Skull. And to show you the proximity is right here. Okay, right here is Zedekiah's cave. So that's where we're going next. Tour of the garden tomb area. And guys, just to recap, again, that we believe to be the authentic location of both Golgotha, the crucifixion location, and the garden tomb. You can see they're all in close proximity. But again, when we look at, and I encourage you to get these notes, but when we look at this depiction of the Ark of the Covenant by Ron Wyatt and the Chariot of the Cherubim, the information that we can see in the first temple, it's very clear that we have a perfect relationship between the cherubim described in 2 Chronicles with those of Exodus. The height of the cherub in the Ark of the Covenant were 2.5 cubits, their wings 1.25 inch cubits, in direct proportion to the cherubim in the Holy of Holies, that being 10 cubits in height and their wings being 5 cubits. So I hope you can see the perfect order and structure. God is not a God of confusion, guys. And so this is accurate information. We're just proving it all out. We're going on site here in Israel, showing you these things that we've shown you before over many years, guys. I have other videos. I'll show you. This is called The Sign of the Son of Man. Okay, and many other videos that we've been discussing this. So thanks for watching. And again, this is part of many playlists. Look at the playlist and the links in the description field, and we'll have some more